What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NFL Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports. I'm here with Titletown and Tyler, and we are going to review week 4 and then jump into tonight as we have another exciting edition of Monday Night Football. Title, I already know the answer, but go ahead and let everyone else know. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was a really good weekend. Week 4 was the best so far to date. I ran really well too, so it's always nice. There's a lot of days that you always complain about bad variants and things that don't go well, but obviously as DFS and betting professionals, we know you get the good bounces with the bad bounces as well. And it was nice to see positive variants and run good at the end play out. So I had a good week 4, and best thing about football is there's always Monday Night Football to come back to, break down, and make some money on too. So excited to dive into it, look at the past games, and look at tonight.
All right, Tyler, I know the answer as well, but why don't you tell everyone how well your weekend went?
Oh, it was good. We went 5-2. We dropped the
Mhm.
AB anytime touchdown and the Tanyan anytime touchdown.
He dropped it too, right?
Yeah, I mean AB dropped it and then Rodgers underthrows him. So we were that close to a 7-0 week.
Yeah,
But I mean,
definitely.
the Corey Davis anytime touchdown was big. McLaurin caught 2 touchdowns. We had Hill over 79.5. He blew that out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, the DK anytime touchdown and then AB over 46.5. We crushed that. So it was a good week. Hopefully we get a couple more winners out of this Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, and it was a good week for me as well, as I actually finally got you in a couple of our head-to-heads that we disagreed with, but we'll get into those as they start. The first game that we'll talk about and answer some questions about will be the Washington the Washington football team, who once again defeated the Atlanta Falcons, who really a tough team there on defense. So Washington, we talked about them last week. Really wasn't an impressive performance by their defense. The offense got it done. But I'll start with you, Tyler. Where do they go from here, and do they have a chance to win this NFC East?
I mean, I think there's a slight chance, but it looks like Dallas is going to run away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really give them much for beating Atlanta. I mean, it did take them all the way down the stretch, and a J.D. McKissick dive to the pylon to win the game. So the defense is still in shambles, it looks like. They need to get that together before anything.
Yeah, I mean, the front four plays all right, but it hasn't been as spectacular as we expected. We knew there were going to be issues in the secondary. Linebackers aren't playing that well either, so let's see if Del Rio and Rivera can get that around. What do you think, Title? Where do the football team go from here? Do they have a chance to turn this around and maybe make a run at the division, or is it Dallas's to lose?
Yeah, I'm with Tyler. I think it's Dallas's to lose. So much talent on the offensive end for Dallas. Defense is coming around, and this front seven's been struggling for Washington, at least what their expectations were coming into the year. I thought they were going to be one of the more dominant front sevens in football. And I mean, Matt Ryan hangs up 30 on you. It's a close ball game there. Don't even think it was really Heineke's fault. I've been impressed as I've seen from Heineke. And I also saw Antonio Gibson has an undisclosed injury. I don't know anything about that. I'm not sure if you guys do, but you can't lose Antonio Gibson. Others are definitely in trouble. But I still think it's Dallas's division to lose.
All right, and let's go straight into Dallas, because that was another pick that I lost, and I just have to admit it to myself and everyone watching the show that I've underrated Dallas. Their offense is that good, and the defense still not that good, but if you're going to score that many points, you just need to be average for them to win games. So they deserve an upgrade. Tyler, I don't know how high you had them, but how high should I be upgrading the Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, it's Dallas, so it's like you want to put them up there, but at the same time, like we've seen this team fizzle out so many times. I'd say they're top 4 team in the NFC. I mean, they did that all spread against this defense, and CeeDee Lamb had 2 catches for 13 yards. That's supposed to be their number 1 receiver. And they still were managed to hang 36 points. So they could beat you in so many different ways. It's just, I'm not sure their coach will be able to keep it together the whole season. We all know Mike McCarthy likes to fizzle out at the end.
Yeah, the coaching team is definitely tough, and I think I fixed the EXO title. I think that was on my end. So
Okay.
why don't you check while you answer this question? Obviously, I need to upgrade Dallas. How high? I mean, watching what I saw yesterday, because I don't think the Panthers team is that bad. I don't think that defense is that bad. I mean, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they might be able to even win the NFC. What do you think?
I'm with you. I mean, this offense with Dak how he's looking, I mean, he's not looking exactly like last year, but he's slinging the ball for sure. His moving, he's only going to get better. But man, Zeke and Pollard in the backfield, their O-line is moving, double teams, getting up to linebackers, playing really good football up front. And then you got Amari Cooper, CD Lamb, Blake Jarwin, and Schultz are playing well, and Dak trusts them. I mean, they got weapons everywhere, and they got guys emerging on defense that are playing really well. So I think the ceiling's the limit for this Cowboys team. They were rolling last year. I mean, their offense was. Now they're better defense. Dak's healthy right now. They got the weapons. I think this Dallas team definitely can win the NFC and are going to give people problems. They just have so many athletes on both sides of the football.
I mean, Title, imagine if they had a real coach, right? If they didn't have a bottom 5 coach in the league. I mean, It's just unbelievable what this team could be doing, and they get Michael Gallup back here in a couple of weeks. So what a fantastic team that was. I really didn't have much that I took away about that Carolina game on the Carolina side. I didn't even upgrade or downgrade them. I think that they got beat off the line by a very good offensive football team, and they fizzled out after a 3-0 start. But I'm not really going to downgrade them. Would you guys agree, Tyler? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I didn't think Carolina was all that good to start with. They beat a Saints team that was getting coached by equipment managers. Mm-hmm. They beat the Jets, and they beat Houston with Davis Mills under center. So, yeah, they were 3-0, but they didn't beat anybody impressive. So this was their first test, and we've seen how that went.
Yeah, I mean, they played well in the first half. I definitely felt like I was on the right side, and I cashed the ticket after watching the first half of football. And imagine my surprise when the Cowboys and McCarthy made better adjustments than Rule and Brady. But that's the way things go in the NFL sometimes. Let's go to the next game, Indy and Miami. Another game that I have to admit I was wrong on. But I'll tell you what, I'm not upgrading Indianapolis at all. I'm just downgrading Miami. The defense seems to have regressed. They're not winning the battle of the line of scrimmage. They have great coverage guys, but they can't get pressure and they can't stop the run. So Indianapolis gets a win at 1-3. Tyler, do you believe that Indianapolis still has a chance to make the playoffs?
I don't. I think they're still just too banged up. Maybe if they get healthy in the next few weeks and they go on a little run, maybe it'll be a different conversation. But I think you're only going to get one team out of the AFC South into the playoffs. That's probably going to be Tennessee.
All right. Yeah, Title, what do you think? Is Indianapolis still alive to make the playoffs?
No, I think I'm with you guys. Carson Wentz is completely dust. He can't even stay healthy. I mean, injuries, banged up. I mean, the Dolphins are no good. Jacoby Brissett's back there, so I don't move him any which way, but I don't think this team's a playoff team.
All right. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, who went to Minnesota and beat the Vikings 14-7. That was an easy game for me to stay off personally. It just seemed like there was so many different variables. But Tyler, I got to go to you because we're going to have this debate all year. I watched Baker Mayfield miss so many throws. Odell Beckham's getting open. He can't get him the ball. He's throwing him in the feet. And I have to ask you, Tyler, is this really a Super Bowl quarterback?
I mean, when you got a defense that can hold a Vikings offense to 7 points, yeah. I think he can get them there. You don't got to be perfect. It's not like he's the one dragging the team around. They could run the ball. They have a great offensive line.
I just watched him fail to put up numbers against probably the two worst starting corners in the league.
No, I agree. He had a bad game, but when the defense can cover for you in bad games like that, yeah, you can win a Super Bowl like that.
All right, and that's where we disagree. It's not 2002 anymore. The days of Trent Dilfer and Brad Johnson are gone, and I really think you got to be something special at the quarterback end, especially going against guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I would rather have Lamar Jackson at this point rather than Baker. But what do you think, Title? Can Baker lead this team to a Super Bowl? Can they get out of the AFC with him back there? Because if I'm the Browns, I get rid of him after this year, because if he starts taking up a bunch of that salary cap space and they're not able to put every single plus offensive line, a plus defense, plus receivers, the best running backs in the league, right? I mean, like, you start taking that away, he's definitely going to look worse.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the Browns, I mean, I guess they can be Super Bowl contenders if they're only hanging, letting the Vikings get 7, if they're running the ball with Chubb and Hunt and that stuff. But at the end of the day, I just bet on the talent at the quarterback position across the NFL, which is insane this year. And I think eventually the Browns are going to have to put up 30 plus against a decent defense, not just like a Chiefs defense in the beginning of the year that's struggling. I think later in the season when teams are at their best, I think defense will be better. I think quarterbacks are still levels above Baker Mayfield. So I think the running game and the defense can only get them so far. JSU's on the Browns, though, Tyler. I know you've been on them.
I'm about to say, I know I'm not on this island by myself. I knew he was on it with me.
Yeah, JSU's on it with you, too. So
let me ask you two, how many teams are in the AFC better than them right now?
Let's pull. You can go first.
Chiefs.
That's a damn
Bills.
lie.
No, I'll go Chiefs. But you know they're going to get
the Chiefs let the Philly hang 30 on them yesterday.
Well, if you think they're better,
they put up 45 and they could have put up 70.
Yeah, but they still let up 30.
Bills.
That's the one I think is better.
Chiefs.
Than them right
I'll
now.
take. I mean, I'll probably even take the Chargers, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think there's one team. I think they're number 2.
All right. Well, we're gonna revisit this every week. So, guys, if this annoys you, too bad, because Tyler and I are going to be going back and forth about Baker Mayfield all year long. So let's go into another quarterback that utterly disappointed me, and I'm also ready to jettison him out of town as he ruined my teaser that I just thought, how could this lose? Well, you know how it can lose? Jameis Winston can suck as the New York Giants get their first win of the year in a game that the Saints should have won. They were up at halftime. They're up 21-10. They blow the lead. Jameis looks terrible. Daniel Jones played pretty well. You got to give him credit there. But looking at the Saints, man, how long can they continue to drop Jameis Winston out there? I'm thinking as of next year, they're going to have to make a change. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they got to make a change. I mean, I can't believe Winston dropped that game there. He just couldn't do anything offensively. All he had to do was put together one scoring drive, and he just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. Title, what do you think? Am I just taking out my upsetness of losing that bet yesterday on Jameis, and is he maybe a little better than I'm giving him credit for?
I mean, I might be the wrong guy to ask because I thought I've been on the Jameis Winston bandwagon. I mean, he's got his eye surgery. You can tell he's done the right things in the offseason with the right people and doing all these aesthetic workouts or whatever pregame. Like, it seems like his mindset and everything, he had a year off to prepare to Drew Brees. I thought he was going to be a much better quarterback than week 1. They absolutely destroyed the Packers, not just because of Jameis, but he didn't make mistakes and did what he had to do. But, man, you can't be losing to the Giants and having some games like they've had. So I'm with you. I think he really needs to step up the next couple of games and end the season strong if he wants to still be the starting quarterback, because the Saints team, I mean, they're going to bring back some talent. And Sean Payton, the Saints aren't going to go to rebuild mode. They're going to want to win now. And Jameis Winston's got to show something. So I'm with you. I think if he doesn't step it up in the next couple of games, I don't think Taysom's the answer.
No, I don't either. That's why I think they'll ride the season out with them. But
yeah,
they already have to be thinking of who's going to be available.
I'm
right?
with you. If they don't
they'll get into the Watson sweepstakes once that heats up.
Yeah, if Miami doesn't beat them to it.
Yeah, Miami's going to be all over that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another interesting situation, but we're not going to get into that today. But what we are going to get into is another New York team that broke their winless streak, that excited the city of New York. Boy, Zach Wilson, that play to Corey Davis, where he kind of sandlotted and was like, no safety, and waved him down there. Then he hits the pass perfectly. Probably my favorite highlight of all of yesterday. You got to take into context, of course, right, with long-suffering Jets fans, the way that it's looked. And for a bunch of guys that seem like they're good guys. I mean, Robert Saleh is just a great leader of men and really excited about his leadership there. So before I had said I can't back the Jets under any circumstances. I didn't get involved in that game. I didn't fade them, though, because with the receivers out, I was like, I'm not even putting them in the tees. I thought the Saints would be much better. So what do I know there? But regardless, can we back the Jets now? Are they coming together? What do you think, Tyler?
No, I mean, we knew they were going to win a few games during the year. I pegged them as being like that Dolphins team from a few years ago that everyone thought wasn't going to win a game, and then Flores dragged them through. I figured Salah would do that here with the Jets. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this was the perfect spot to get your first win. The team can't really throw the ball. They're down to their third and fourth string receivers. Mm-hmm. You knew they were going to run the ball heavy with Henry, so you just stacked the box on them. And they still had to gut out a win in the end. But, I mean, that Zach Wilson play was nice, wasn't it? Threw it right up over that shoulder, and he reached up, grabbed it. It was great.
And spoiler alert for answering my own question, if anyone's read the article that I put out today, I'm going to back the Jets next week against the Falcons. But what do you think, Title? Am I crazy for taking the Jets out of the no bet zone and being ready to back them again just because they beat a decimated Tennessee team?
Personally, they'll be staying on the no bet list for me probably the rest of the year. There's just certain teams that I just can't trust week to week, and we know football is a week to week game. And I'm not going to call you crazy. I mean, Zach Wilson's showing improvements. I'm friends with a lot of Zach Wilson guys, especially one. He got his jersey and everything. I've watched football with him the past 2 weeks. So when he made that throw and a couple of throws when he's rolling out and stuff, yeah, you can see the talent for sure. It's fun. I'm cheering the guy on for sure. I like Robert Saleh and stuff. When it comes to backing my money, the Jets and their situation right now, they beat Tennessee without A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. They were banged up. They didn't look very good at all. I'm just not going to go there yet. So Falcons are bad, though. If you're going to back them in another game, I think that's the one to do it next week.
Yeah, I mean, and pocket QB Lamar Jackson. Can you imagine my life next Sunday when I'm up at 6:30 a.m. and my financials for the week are dependent on the New York Jets winning? I mean, what a life we lead here. But anyways, congratulations to the Jets and Saleh, because I thought it was a much deserved win for a hardworking team that just might not have the talent. But hey, they're able to do it against Tennessee yesterday. You know what? So let's talk about KC. I actually didn't even come up with a question for them, but I feel like we need to talk about the game. But it's the same old story. The offense wins. Defense didn't look too good. I know, Tyler, you weren't impressed. Give me your thoughts about Kansas City and that game they had against the Eagles.
No, I mean, I knew they were going to put up points here. They need the win to keep pace with the division. You figure we could either have the Raiders at 4-0 or the Chargers at 3-1 all tonight, and then they're all tied with Denver, and then the Chiefs are staring up at them. So you had to pick up this win. You couldn't drop another game. Tyreek Hill was due for a big game after 2 duds, so we seen that. But I just think that defense just needs a lot of work. I mean, they let this Philly offense put up 30. Yes, you're right. They could have scored 70 in that game, but your defense has still got to be able to get some stops here, because you play a team that can hold the ball for 8 minutes and still put 7 points on the board. All of a sudden, now you're playing against them and the clock.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see going forward. I've just seen this Chiefs defense really mature as the season goes on the last couple of years, and I wonder how many of their blitz packages and some of their better formations they keep in the bag for the end of the season that they're really not using the first 4 weeks. Title, what were your thoughts on the Chiefs-Eagles game?
Yeah, I see it the same way you did. I mean, their defense has been a big concern. But like you said, I have the same thoughts. We've seen the same story the past couple of years with their defense and how they start slow. And as the year goes on and playoffs come up, they get more stingy. They force some more 3-and-outs and stuff. And we know what their offense can do. I knew they were going to put up points. DFS-wise, Kelsey was a bit – I mean, he didn't feel good in a lot of my lineups. Fortunately, I had Tyreek in some that placed really well. But Kelsey was hurtful. CEH runs for 100 yards, which is always good to see as a Chiefs fan. They need to get the running game going for this offense really to hit their peak. I mean, Mahomes is going to put up points. The game itself, yeah. I mean, you don't like the Eagles putting up 30 against you, but Jalen Hurts is going to put up some points, especially against a bad defense. That's exactly what he does with his athleticism. So Chiefs put enough points to win. I think that's all that matters. Again, I'm going to keep saying I'm not worried about this Chiefs team. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I was right. Go ahead.
Did you see the guy who won the Millie Maker didn't play Tyreek Hill yesterday?
I did not.
Oh, wow.
On draft. Wow, which one was it? I just did the
because he had Cordell Patterson, right?
I think he had Cordell. He had Zeke at like 2% owned. He had Dak. Yeah. I think he stacked that Carolina. Yep, he stacked that Carolina Dallas game.
That's so. I had a lineup. I think I finished 16th out of 37,000 on Yahoo. I had Scary Terry, DJ Moore, Zeke, Jalen Hurts, Tyreek, but I had Swift, and and I probably needed like 15 more from him for 100K in the seat. But hey, that's Bills defense, all the nuts, but then there's always that one piece. But yeah,
Bills defense, yeah,
that was something.
What a performance! And poor Davis Mills to come off of 4 Pac-10 games and then be thrown in the fire of the NFL, right? I mean, out of all the quarterbacks that were drafted last year that said Project 2 years, right? Let the guy develop, let him practice, let him be the other quarterback in the practice squad. Poor Davis Mills being out there. Let's talk about the Rams and the Cardinals, Tyler. And I get to pump my chest a little bit. I actually got this one right when we went head to head. Now, to be fair, I didn't say that the Cardinals were going to blow them out. I just thought they would cover in a close game. And what was I wrong about? It was not a close game, as the Cardinals actually just blew them out. I know you're big on the Browns being a Super Bowl contender. Can Arizona be a Super Bowl contender, Tyler, or are you going to bring them back down to where they deserve to be?
I mean, it's kind of like I think they're there, but like it's hard because Kyler Murray's just so little and he's as big as me.
Mm-hmm.
But like if he gets hit 1 or 2 more times, then he could easily be injured, and that's the season.
Yeah.
So it's like as long as he stays healthy, they're just going to be a terrible matchup for everybody because it's like trying to tackle Lamar Jackson, and then all of a sudden he takes 1 step back and he launches it 60 yards over your head for a touchdown. And he has tons of weapons to go to. So as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be a problem matchup for anybody in the NFC.
Yeah, I
see
personally
he's moved to being the favorite for MVP. He's down to like 4.5 to 1.
Yeah.
I don't trust him to stay healthy. And I'll tell you what, I didn't upgrade the Cardinals that much. And I'll tell you why, because I just felt this was like a let down spot for the Rams. I'm throwing this game out almost altogether for both
I think
teams.
the Cardinals put the blueprint out to how to beat the Rams, and everyone pretty much knew it already, and it was neutralize Cooper Kupp, and their offense comes to a halt.
Yeah, and that could be fair, but I don't think it's as easy as they made it look. I think the Rams listened to their press clippings all week, heard everyone tell them that they're shooing for the Super Bowl, and Matt Stafford's the MVP, and Sean McVay's the biggest genius since Bill Walsh, and I just felt that this is going to be a prime let down spot for them. It's hard to be up every week, and I think we saw some of that. Title, what do you think of my breakdown or my analysis there about that being a letdown, or should I be reading more into this game?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really, because I don't bet too much. I think I only bet once the Cowboys this week at -4. So I don't read all into that stuff. I like the game at DFS a lot, but I've always thought this Cardinals team, with the healthy Kyler Murray, obviously it's hard to predict injuries, but we know with his body stature and stuff, and he's been injured. But we know if this team's healthy with Kyler Murray, I mean, they're definitely Super Bowl contending teams. I don't necessarily know if you have to move them up to. I mean, they're already top 5, I think, for both of you guys. They're definitely top 5 for me. I mean, Kyler's just a huge problem in the space with his legs. Hopkins, Chase Edmonds is a complete stud with Connor in the backfield too. So they have their 2 running back committee to keep him more fresh. Rondale Moore. I mean, AJ Green, who I called dust early in the year. I thought his time was up. There's a little reinsurance there. I mean, they got JJ Watt. I mean, it's just a good football team with a quarterback that causes so many problems. This team's going to be very tough to beat. I'm not going to say Super Bowl favorites or any of that stuff, but anytime you beat a team that people were considering the Super Bowl favorites coming in, I know it's week 3 and people were, it's a little early to be saying all that stuff, but I mean, I think Big T bet at 7-1 on the show. Everyone was talking Rams and Super Bowl favorites, and they've looked the best. 37-20. I got to put some stock into that game. So I was impressed, very impressed. But as a Rams fan too, there's a lot of football. I think they'll be just fine too. Just 2 of the better teams in football.
Yeah, I tell you what, I didn't downgrade them that much, and I didn't move the Cardinals up that much. I just thought that was a great situational spot to catch a Rams team probably a little bit high themselves and coming into the game a little bit overconfident. And I kind of feel that's what we saw. So I'll be looking forward to the rematch in Arizona. And, I can't wait. I'm really curious to see what that line is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a pick or, Rams -1, but I think it might be a good opportunity there to jump back in. Let's stay in the NFC West.
You said Rams, right? They're -2.5 on. They play Seattle on Thursday. -2.5.
I'm talking about when they rematch the Cardinals.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So
who knows
because what did they lay? They opened at 6. They closed at 4.5, 3, depending on where you shop. On that close, it would think that they would at least shoot it to Cardinals -2, but I don't know if it'll get that far off the close. But we'll see. But I think the Rams are going to get revenge when they do play next time. Let's see how that one works out. But let's stay in the NFC West and talk about the San Francisco 49ers losing to the Seattle Seahawks. Another game that actually I had right, and it was because I just felt, and I was right there, that Metcalf and Lockett were just going to be too much of a matchup advantage, and that, Russell would be able to mitigate the pass rush by just, buying a little bit extra time, letting those guys get open. But the big story of that game has to be the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. So, Tyler, my question for you is, are they better with Trey Lance at quarterback?
I mean, I'll wait one more game before deciding that. Because he got thrown in there on the fly at halftime. Didn't really have the game set up for him. They're already playing from behind. It was just kind of like in shambles from the start off. I mean, this is an ugly game all around. I'm through for less than $150. No receiver cleared 70 yards in this game. You had a couple short drives where guys fumbled and they punched in touchdowns, but all around just an ugly divisional game.
Yeah, and I leaned Seattle there, and I ended up not pulling the trigger, and I regretted it, as it was one of the easier cashes of the afternoon. Title, you can also throw in some DFS thoughts too, but let's just start just as generally handicapping the team. Are they better with Trey Lance? And I mean, is there any way he's going to make it into your lineups? Do you think that he's going to end up being a DFS or a fantasy players, a go-to guy, or just probably not enough yet?
Yeah, this one's tough. I agree. I think the wait and see approach definitely is the smart side. The thing is, this week, I haven't looked at pricing, but I think I saw 5,700. Someone said or something about Trey Lance. We know he has the rushing mobility. I love his athleticism. He's in a good spot. Deebo Samuel's been a complete stud. George Kittle's there. The running backs have been beat up, but as far as rookies, he's in the best situation that you could be in. I prefer Trey Lance. I've always wanted Trey Lance over Jimmy Garoppolo. You get the extra athleticism, the extra burst, and stuff. Jimmy G, obviously, is the game manager and stuff. So real football-wise, he needs the whole week to get ready. Coach is going to deviate a game plan toward him, toward how he plays. So I think they're going to be better overall. It might take him a week or two to get into it, but he just adds so much more to the offense. And as far as DFS, I might take a little shot at him week one and stuff at his cheap price tag, because if he starts going off, he's going to be 6,500, 6,600 by some of these guys where you might have missed the boat and stuff like that. So I have a little interest because he's cheap, because he's athletic. He has good guys around him. As far as Debo, he's a DFS printer so far every day this year. What a big game he had, and he saved me a lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I think that Lance might put up some pretty good DFS numbers just with his ability to run the ball, right? Because, 200 yards passing and 100 yards rushing pays more than 300 yards passing and no rushing, right? So, that'll be interesting to see if Trey Lance ends up, breaking some slates here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Let's go on and talk about a controversial game for it's kind of the silliest reasons, but the Ravens beat the Broncos, and that was fun for me because I was on the Ravens, and a lot of people kept coming at me with Bridgewater's ATS spread. Now, to be fair, and all these people can argue, well, it might have been a different game if Bridgewater was out. So I will go ahead and say that, like, hey, I did get lucky because me personally, I felt like the bet was cashed when Drew Lock came into the game. So my question for you guys is, I'm wrong, because I don't really think the Broncos can beat anyone but the worst teams in the league with Drew Lock. Tyler, what do you think?
Yeah, that'll definitely get put to the test this week if Drew Lock got to play, because they play Pittsburgh. Yeah. They can't beat Pittsburgh with Drew Lock under center. I think Drew Lock's got to go even as a backup.
Yeah.
But, you can't really take much from that game with Teddy going down. Baltimore's probably going to win the game anyway. They just seem like the better team, but could have been a closer game with Teddy in there. But what's the big argument at the end of the game? They ran the ball when they should be kneeling it.
That was going to be my next question. So what title answer about Drew Lock, and can they win with Lock? And then I'll break down what happened and then get your guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's not looking good when the line out for next week against Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh -1.5 from everything we've seen from Pittsburgh this year. Drew Lock, I don't think I wasn't even as high on the Broncos. I know Tyler and some people were because of that defense and stuff. Now, Teddy, you're definitely going down to Drew Lock. So I don't think the answer is not Drew Lock. That's for sure.
Okay, so we both think that this is a tough team to back with Drew Lock as the quarterback. For those who didn't see it, and I don't know the exact number, but the Ravens were tied for and on the verge of breaking the record for consecutive games with 100 yards rushing as a team. They get the ball back with less than a minute to go. The game's obviously over at 23-7, and they're sitting on 97 yards. So they decide to run a play to get over 100 yards again to keep their streak alive, right? Now, Fangio was quite upset about this. And I'll get your guys' thoughts and then say it. Like, what do you think, Tyler? Should they have run that play meaningless to get the record, or was that BS? What do you think?
I mean, it is what it is. It's not like they went for the touchdown. Like, he ran for a couple yards. Like, if he would have went through the hole and the end zone would have been there, he probably falls over. It's not like they're putting points on the board. So,
Tyler, what do you think? What do you think of this kind of media manufactured controversy?
Don't give them 3 yards if you don't want them to get 100. I mean,
very true.
It's grown men playing football against grown men at the highest level. If you don't like something, then stop it. I mean, you're out there to win the game. You want records. You want all that stuff. That's part of it. I don't see anything wrong with it.
All right, and I'm going to go right off what you said because that's what I think too. This is professional football. At the high school level, I can understand because most people in high school, right? Why do we put our kids in high school football? It's to learn about teammates. It's to be athletic, right? It's to be out there and learn lessons about life, right? College, you can even argue it's okay because the margin of victory counts when you're going for those bowl games, right? It's not a complete meritocracy. There is voting involved, so I can see them running up the score. So in high school, I would say, no, do not ever do this. College, if you're a top team, you can keep running up the score because, you're trying to get in that top 4. Professional, never, ever should complain about it. You are paid to coach 60 minutes. You are paid to play 60 minutes. And I don't want to hear nothing. Like you said, if you can't do it, stop it. And I hate this in the NBA, NBA and NFL, the idea that if you're ahead, that you have to quit to show some sort of modicum for sportsmanship for guys getting paid between $500,000 a game sometimes. They're being paid to be out there. You can play the full 60 minutes, and if you don't like it, stop it. So I'm on the side of Harbaugh here. I think that Fangio came off with sour grapes, and it'll be interesting to see if this carries over at all or if it's just something that the media made up just so we didn't have to hear about Brady and the Patriots ad nauseum this morning. Let's talk about your favorite team, Tyler, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is another one that I got right, and I think you did as well. And I think we fairly say, as long as Ben Roethlisberger's out there, I'm not going to back this team. So you're closer to Tomlin, right? You're in the town. You're hearing what's going on. How much longer can they continue to trot this guy out there? What do you think, Tyler?
I'm just hoping that the trio of Ben, Juju, and Tomlin all leave town after this year, and they just start fresh.
Keep Tomlin.
Get him out of here too.
Well,
my guy looks like the construction worker that's confused waiting to get the walkie-talkie call to turn his stop sign around on the sideline. He just stands there with his arms crossed. Like, do something.
Well, he kept AB and Le'Veon Bell in line. He's doing something. He's doing it behind the scenes. So Tyler wants everybody out. But how many more weeks of Ben do you think we see? 5
until
10?
He gets hurt.
Okay.
That's my guess.
What do you think, Tyler? Do they stick with him the whole season?
I would bet no. I think I would bet that we'll see a starting quarterback at some point. Maybe that is because of injury, because I'm not sure how much Ben can keep taking some hits. He hasn't even taken a ton, but it's just he's not mobile at all. He's going to take hits every game regardless of his line. And yeah, I think there eventually gets to a point, Big Ben's way over the hill. I mean, they all know it at this point. I saw something on Twitter. It looked like Juju was saying it's a Ben problem. And the lips got him. It's not hidden to anybody on that team, anyone in the world. Big Ben's a problem for this team. Eventually, you got to get someone back there, someone that can sling it and stretch it down the field at least a little more and take a little shots. So, if I had to guess, I don't think we see Ben every game this regular season, whether it's due to injury or finally Mike Tomlin pulling the plug.
Imagine complaining about your quarterback when you had an offer from Kansas City in free agency and you could have been lining up across from Tyreek Hill. And Travis Kelce getting all the attention taken off of you.
And I'm not a big Schuster fan, so I'm so glad that didn't happen. I'm happy to see, because he's kind of been a little arrogant.
I can't stand him either, but it's like you can't complain when you had the gourmet meal left in front of you and you turned it down for fast food.
I feel like he's been the recipient of being in a wonderful situation. Now, obviously, this year he doesn't, but right, he got to let AB get all the coverage and him
Yep.
to rack up while AB's getting all these double and triple teams,
He
right?
racked up
And then
about
he racks up all
1,500
these
yards.
stats and acts like he's this game breaking superstar. When the reality is, you put him in double coverage, he's not beating anyone. He's probably not even in the 25 best wide receivers in the league, and he's carrying himself like he's some star. So I'm fine with him getting his comeuppance. And if I'm the Steelers, have you guys seen the meme of that girl like in the black sweatshirt that's winking with her mouth open, right? That's what I do. I show that meme and I go, "You're injured, right, man? You're injured because this can't go on."
Sit down.
Yeah,
Take
it
a
kind of reminds
break.
me of the Eli Manning situation. You remember that towards the end where they didn't want to bench him because he's a Hall of Famer, won Super Bowls for the team, means so much to the team and the community. But at the same time, like, let's be realistic about where we are.
Won't do what New York did, though. They won't bench him. They will let him go until he wants to say he's done.
Well,
they don't have the pressure of New York City behind them going, take this guy out.
Yeah. I mean, really, he's got to go.
All of Pittsburgh right now is spread is like, yeah, we look bad right now, but he won us 2 Super Bowls, so just let him do his thing. That's their saying.
And that was the sentiment in New York that kind of caused that extra season that was a little unnecessary. And we've seen how well that works out. I'll be honest, though, Green Bay wasn't super impressed. I felt Ben missed a lot of those throws. There was a lot of times that Johnson and Schuster were wide open, and Ben just couldn't get him the ball. But take that away. The results are there. What do you think? I didn't think that Green Bay can make it to the Super Bowl this year, but let's throw that week 1 game out. They look pretty good. Tyler, can this team make the Super Bowl?
I got to see their defense show some life. I mean,
yeah,
Ben doesn't miss some guys. We're talking about a whole different game.
Yeah, I think they would have lost.
I think if you put one of the backups in, it's probably a downgrade from Ben, but the accuracy probably goes up a bit. I think that game's closer if Mason Rudolph or Haskins is in there because they're going to hit them guys in that space. Green Bay still isn't getting much pressure on the quarterback, so against these better teams, like they're going to have some problems.
Title, you got boots on the ground. What are they saying in Green Bay about your Super Bowl chances in the defense?
Yeah, not too much talk about it. I mean, it's still a long ways. Everyone thinks with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae that Super Bowl is definitely in the realm of possibilities, what they've done in the past. Defense definitely has to step it up. Preston Smith also got injured last game. Not even like he's been really, really good or anything, but Zadarius is also banged up, so there's concerns to getting pass rush. I really like Stokes, but a big thing is Jair went down, and I saw it this morning. They didn't announce anything, but something was like, we're not saying if it's for the year or just like, I mean, it looks like it.
Oh, it's that bad?
Yeah. I mean, they're saying like we're going day by day in this, but in the tweet, it was mentioned something about we're not mentioning anything about the year, anything, which means it's worse than what we're thinking. If there's no Jair out there, it's going to be barbecue chicken for the quarterback on the other side. So I got to see that news. That's definitely a big concern. Packers always seem, especially with Aaron Rodgers and the new look Aaron Rodgers this year, seems to play down to his level of competition, which I don't like to. And you got to win all the regular season games you can. So we'll see about Jair. Our defense needs help. Needed a little Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams yesterday. And of course, it was a Cobb day, but that's always good to see Randall Cobb get back in and do something. But yeah, Jair, if he's out for the year, they're not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and here's my money-making idea because we're going to be talking about the Tampa Bay secondary next when we go into this game. You need to get a great technical corner, a guy like Richard Sherman or whatever. He opens up a camp, right? And Tyler, and I, we just go around these NBA camps, right? As they're cutting these point guards, right? All these guys that are 6'3" and ultra fast, just not fast enough to cover Russell Westbrook. Let's bring them out. Let's teach Sherman how to use their hips, and we need to get some more because when we do these breakdowns, especially tomorrow, the secondary is the weakness out of like 27 of the 32 teams, right? I mean,
it's the hardest position. It's the hardest position to play in football. If you
I don't think anyone wants to play.
Especially with the way football's officiated now, you can't touch the guy.
And if you have that skill set, what do you want to do? Just go for 30 where you can't be touched and dribble between your legs and hear how great you are, or just never get on TV unless you're getting torched. So we got to get some of these guys that are getting. I was just watching David Mitchell play defense, and I'm like, this guy he'd be a shutdown corner. I mean, he really would.
He's
the way
getting
he
flagged
moves
every play spread. He's literally getting flagged every play.
That's where Sherman's in there to teach him how to, not
He'd
get
be
those
Ramsey,
flags.
but like times 1,000. Like he would just be running the player over when they snap the ball.
All right, so there are some few flaws in my plans, but I think that the point was made is that as injuries to the secondary might decide the season, and this is very key when we're talking about the game we watched last night. Richard Sherman comes in emergency duty. This Tampa team looked like a shoo-in to really do well, but they keep taking injury after injury in the secondary. Tyler, my question for you, is this Tampa Bay secondary going to hold up?
I mean, it's tough to say right now. I mean, we got to see once these guys come back. I mean, yeah, they dropped Carlton Davis too last game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So see how long he's out for. They
Bunting's still out?
Yeah, Bunting's still out. So they get these guys back by playoffs. I mean, could have a different secondary here. But they could also go out and sign a couple guys, make a couple trades. We'll see what happens. But if they stick with this same secondary and these guys don't come back, I think they're in for some trouble.
Yeah, and they run so well.
Again.
I mean, you saw the Patriots, and rightly so. They just abandoned the run game.
Yep.
Why would I try and run against Vitavia and Ndamukong Suh when I can pass against these third-string cornerbacks, right? Title, what do you think? Can this secondary hold up? I mean, what does Tampa do?
Yeah, I don't know about this one. They can put up points on the offensive end most games, and their run stops on phenomenal. So they're a pass funnel. Got to make teams make a couple bad throws or bad situations. They're really bad right now. I mean, they should have lost that game against Mac Jones. Mac Jones had a pretty solid game, put up 275 yards. If you perform like that against a better team, they're just going to run you off the field. I think the Buccaneers looked awful. Sherman he did whatever. I mean, he was getting picked on a little bit. I think they definitely need some bodies to be back healthier. If they're going to the playoffs with this squad right here and this secondary that they're rolling out, they're going to be beat pretty early is how I see it. So yeah, it's so early though. It's week 4, week 5.
Right.
They just brought in Sherman. Sherman's going to get better. They're going to get some bodies. And if all those guys look to be out, I don't know the length of some of their injuries, but you'd have to think they'd bring in someone or do something rather than these guys be the answer if those guys were out for a long period of time. So the Buccaneers will figure it out. Tom Brady, I don't think will ever let some 4 bum secondary pieces ruin his chance for another Super Bowl or something. So I assume stuff's going to be figured out. They're going to get healthy, but I mean, they looked awful yesterday. These 4 guys back there are not the answer right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And let's switch over to the New England side because we talked about how good Mac Jones looked. But I'll tell you, there's one thing missing from his game. He can't really go over the top, not a lot of plays or even throws above 20 yards. He's just working underneath, and it's great that he's doing so well. But I'm struggling to see how he gets better than what he is right now in that Teddy Bridgewater, who are some Alex Smith, right? Those style of quarterbacks that you can win if everything else around you goes right. I'll throw Baker Mayfield in there. Just kidding, Tyler. But I don't know. I don't see any big plays there for Mac Jones. Tyler, do you think that he can eventually become a top quarterback, or do you think that I'm right to kind of pigeonhole him into one of those guys that wins, doesn't make mistakes, and takes what the defense gives you, but he's not going to, basically blow you out of the water like a Stafford or a Rodgers or a Deshaun Watson?
No, I agree with you. I think he's just more like a game manager. Like you figure Belichick wanted to push Brady out and use Jimmy G. Well, now he just went and drafted Jimmy G's clone. This dude's not going to take the top off the defense, like you said. He's going to take everything underneath given to him, and he's really smart, so he makes the right decisions. He's not going to throw many picks. But, you need him to take the top off the defense in today's NFL, so it's just capping your offense to where if you can't run the ball and you're throwing all underneath, they just start to move the entire defense up, and then you can't really do anything.
Yeah, it's for how great, I've heard Mac Jones is. I mean, have they scored more than 20 points yet?
I don't think so.
Right? I mean, they keep getting 17,
and
16, and he's put up 300 yards.
He took the top off of defenses in college, but all 3 of us on the screen could have took the top off of defenses in college with those receivers.
We didn't get into it, but Devontae Smith was so impressive yesterday.
Yeah, he looked good.
He's so good. He's so good. And then he had Jalen Waddle on the other side. I mean, it's just...
Najee Harris standing behind him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, come on. But, hey, credit to him for playing within the system and not trying to be something that he's not. But, Title, what do you think of my assessment, as Alex Smith 2.0? What do you think?
I mean, he's also in a spot. It's hard because what they got in New England is they don't want to push it downfield. They don't take all those shots. They play more time of possession, control the ball, play action. His wide receiver one's Jacoby Myers. He's got Kendrick Bourne. He's got Hunter Henry. Like, it's not like he has the pieces that he can really push the ball down the field as much as a Stafford or some other spots and the style of game they want to play. I was pretty impressed with him yesterday, but I agree with you in the fact of like, is his ceiling really there? Probably not. Like a Trey Lance, he doesn't have a ceiling as a Trey Lance or something like that, which is what I want to see. But he made some throws from the pocket that I was pretty impressed with. He stepped up when he had to against a solid pass rush. So I like what I see. I think if he went to a spot like a Goff who's in a new spot, he's at Detroit, but at least in Detroit, I mean, they're in a dome where they can throw it a ton. They're behind a lot, so they sling it and they can push it down a little more field or the ball down the field a little more. I think Mac Jones needs to get in a different situation that would really try and show his arm talent or try and push the ball downfield and run different route combinations past 10 to 15 yards that could really answer that question. So in New England, I think your assessment's right, but he does need a little more weapons. You don't need Jacoby Myers as your wide receiver one in the NFL nowadays and stuff too. So I'm not going to, I think I like his talent. I like what he's doing. I think he's going to be a fine quarterback, but I agree. The ceiling, there's other guys out there that definitely have a bigger ceiling.
Yeah, man, there's a reason he was picked fifth out of all the quarterbacks there, but let's give him credit for going ahead and working to his strengths and playing pretty well so far. So that's good. That wraps it up for our review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey, B-Rad Malibu says, thanks, guys, for the show. We are not done yet. We're going to start talking about tonight. We're going to start talking about the side, the total, the props, and the title's going to give a mini core to start with to go ahead and break your showdown slate. And I can't wait to talk to him about that because with it being the Raiders, I have one guy that I want to throw in the captain slot, but it might be a little too chalky. So we're going to get into that. But let's start with the side and the total. Tyler, we talked about it on Friday. I just want to know if your thoughts have changed. I was hoping to get 3.5. I've been refreshing 3 different books all day, even Bovada, which is the squarest one out of all. And I thought I'll get a 3.5 on Bovada. Does not seem to be happening. So it looks like if I do want to play the Raiders, I am going to have to take a +3. What do you think of this game tonight?
I mean, it's tough because, the game says it's at the Chargers, but we all know this is a home game for the Raiders. I mean, the stadium can be 70-30 black and silver. Mm-hmm. So take that for what it is. You're basically getting the home team as an underdog. But I think the Chargers defense is just going to be too much for this Raiders team. And I think Herbert's just going to throw all over this Raiders team. I mean, we've seen Ben Roethlisberger throw for almost 300 on this defense. And now you're going to play a team with a better offensive line, better quarterback, better weapons. Like, I see Allen torching this team. Mike Williams probably gets in the end zone. Yeah, missing Kenneth Murray on defense is going to suck, but I think that just makes his total in this game look a little bit better. I think they go over that 51 because I think Waller goes in on the other side. Mm-hmm. But Derwin James and them guys are just going to cause so many problems for Carr. I think the Chargers get out of here with a W.
And you like them to cover the 3 too?
It's tough covering the 3 in these divisional games. Mm-hmm. I probably won't have a play on the side. If I had to pin one down, though, I'd probably be down that -3. And it just came through news, Kenneth Murray placed on IR.
Yeah, and that's too bad for the Chargers, but pretty good for the Raiders and their backers tonight. Title, so we're split. I like the Raiders +3. Tyler likes the Chargers -3. Even if you don't bet it, give us an opinion. Give us the tiebreak. Who do you like?
I'm going to go on the Chargers side. Okay. I think Justin Herbert, when we were talking about the Browns and the AFC, I put Herbert, I said the Chargers were a better team than I thought the Browns were. I think this offense, Justin Herbert, I think is a complete stud. I love Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is now absolutely dominant. They got Eckler. I like the Raiders too. I think this is going to be a good football game. I'm very excited for this Monday night game. At the end of the day, I just think the Chargers are one of the still an undervalued team. I think they're a very good football team that can win a lot of games. So give me the Chargers. 3.5, I think, is pretty small. The thing is, when it gets to DFS, this is sometimes where I know I like the Chargers, but it's 3.5, and I know everyone's going to be on the Chargers 4-2 routes and stuff like that. Whereas you simply just go take a +3.5 dog in the Raiders. You play 4 guys on the Raiders and 2 guys on the Chargers. You hope all the production is concentrated on a Keenan Allen and a Herbert or an Eckler or something like that. and then the Raiders, they win a 41-38 game or something, and multiple guys get there. I usually play the dog team every single time in Showdown in tournaments. I just go for whoever's playing on the dog, 2 teams, whoever's the small favorite, and you cross off 75% of the field that are just running 4-2s with the favorites from Vegas. So my prediction's a little different than how I'm going to approach DFS, if that makes sense.
No, and that makes perfect sense because they are completely two different animals. If you guys have watched a lot of these run through shows where we cross over and break down the games from the betting and in the DFS perspective, you've seen how wildly we can vary. So that being said, 2-1 for the Chargers there. Take that for what it is. And Tyler, 5-2 on props this weekend. How are you going to keep it going tonight? What do you got for us? Tyler, you muted.
Looking at this one, I mean, the total's pretty high, so these props the numbers are correlated to that. But I think Allen's just getting peppered with the ball here. That's 7.5 on his receptions. I'd go over on that. I think we see Waller get in the end zone. You can get plus 125 to plus 135, depending where you shop at. Yeah. I got plus 135 on FanDuel. He's plus 125 on DK.
I love that.
I think he gets in the end zone today, missing Kenneth Murray in that middle spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think him to score the first touchdowns will look too. You can get him at plus 1,000. I mean, how often are you getting the best player on their offense at plus 1,000?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so let me put those in there. So we have Allen over 7.5 receptions, Waller anytime TD at plus 125. I'm going to be on that as well. And first TD plus 1,000. That's pretty generous.
And then one on the other side of the ball. With Kenneth Murray out, you can get Derwin James over 6.5 tackles, which he's covered in 2 of his 3 games at plus 110. I think that's worth a shot because you figure he's going to have to play up in the box more. If Oakland gets up, they're going to try and run the ball more. He'll be in on them tackles on the running back. I think he maybe gets into double-digit tackles, but I think he finishes with around 7 to 9.
He might have 7 tackles on Waller alone if they continue their 19 target.
He'll be the guy covering Waller that's starting at that safety spot.
Yeah. I love all these plays, Tyler. I love the way you're breaking this down. So I think that sets the table pretty well for you, Title.
I got one more.
Oh, before you go. We want them all. What you got?
My buddy's been pointing these out to me, and he's been targeting the longest receptions prop. But he's been, instead of going over on these, he targets the guys that very rarely get targets, and he goes under on them. Well, we can get Jalen Guyton under 14.5 longest reception. The dude didn't have, he had a single target last week. He didn't catch a ball. I think he's caught in 2 balls on the year. We could easily get through this whole game where the guy doesn't see a target, and that cashes.
All right, under on Guyton. And hey, it's always fun to fade a guy that I haven't watched very much because I don't think I could tell you too much about him. I don't know what school he went to, and I don't think I've seen a highlight with him on Red Zone yet this season. Title. So Tyler gave us 5 winning props. That was more than I expected. So from 5-2, hopefully we'll be 10-2 when we're talking tomorrow. Title. I have my DraftKings up. I've thrown some Raiders in here, but go ahead and give me a core that you think you're going to start with here.
All right, so yeah, this skill could change. My main lineup today for tournaments, it's definitely going to be Raiders captain. I said, I think the Chargers. I mean, at the end of the day, 3.5 is not a lot of points in football. Even if a team wins in DFS, they could still have 2 players from that team and 4 players from the opposing team be on the optimal if all the points are concentrated. I do agree with Keenan Allen. I think he is the best play on the slate when it comes to price on the Chargers side. So I'm going to plug him as my in the flex as one of my Chargers.
Okay.
As far as Vegas side, I'm leaning right now going Waller in the captain spot in the 1.5x. His price tag I do like. He's 9,200. Carr's 10.8 at the flex position. So you have to spend a lot if you want him at the captain spot. If I'm already playing Keenan stuff, I'm going to go with Waller, who has a higher ceiling than Carr. We saw what he did. I mean, he was in the optimal week 1 against the Ravens. And with no Kenneth Murray, I mean, I think they absolutely peppered. The Chargers led up the 7th most points against opposing tight ends. Now they get one of the best in Waller. So I like Tyler calling the touchdown as well. So give me Waller captain. And then, Keenan Allen the flex. I'm going to throw Carr in as the other flex in the core play, and then I'll have you build around there. If you're going to go Waller at captain, people are going to play Herbert more than Derek Carr, so I'll take a little ownership discount. He's expensive. He's only 400 less than Justin Herbert, which I really like because I think some people are just going to leave off Carr, go Eckler, Keenan Allen, or Herbert, Mike Williams, or a Wall or something like that. So give me the pairing: Waller captain, Derek Carr flex, and then Keenan Allen as my other one for my 3 favorite plays. A couple other guys, cheaper guys I'll mention that you're going to need to fill out your lineups with. I like one of Hunter Renfrow and Bryan Edwards, 5.8 and 5K for them both. If you're playing Derek Carr, I like double spending. Renfrow hasn't had less than double-digit DK points to start the year. And Bryan Edwards, I think, is going to be a little lower owned than him. He's 5,000. He's still running all the routes. He has a 40.5 prop, so he can get in the box. I think Carr does have a big day. I think this is a high-scoring football game. And if you're playing Carr with Waller and another Raider, I think you're going to be pretty unique. So I like one of those two. I think Jared Cook at 4.4K is a good price tag on the Chargers side. He's some value down there. You can always go one of the kickers. I don't mind that, but I do cap them at one kicker for all my lineups. So that's a rule I always put. I never play any of the defenses. And then if you want some full punts down below, Justin Jackson, I expect some people to maybe go to. He's only $200, and you can take zeros for 200, but he might mix in a couple snaps here and there. If he gets you 4 points on DraftKings, we've seen that be enough in the past where if you have all the studs, you need a punt, get you 3-4 points, and that's all you need. So I think he's the best guy below 1,000. You can go Larry Roundtree down there who's mixing a little for Eckler. I don't like that. Jalen Guyton is 2.4K. He's ran 70% of the routes. So again, if you need a full punt down there, I'm looking at Jackson, Roundtree, Guyton. One of the Chargers guys is probably how I'm going to fully punt it. So a couple of the names for you, the big guys up top. Like I said, the kickers are probably the strongest value in the mid-tier, 3.8K, 4K and stuff. But I think the studs, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Herbert, Derek Carr, Waller. I can't go a balanced build on this slate because I think some of those guys are absolutely going to smash today. So my core, Waller at captain, Derek Carr, and Keenan Allen for my 3 I'm giving out, and then a couple other value plays I mentioned.
Well, thank you very much, because you answered my question before I asked it, but what I was kind of hinting at was Waller's got like 19 targets in games before, right? And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but my guess is he might have the most targets for any player in the NFL this season, right? So I was going to put him at captain, but I was wondering if that's a little too chalky. But you're not worried about being different there? You think that assuming our little script that we played out goes right, that you can ship and you're not going to be holding hands with 1,000 people?
Yeah, I think Darren Waller is going to be under 10% at captain is what I'm seeing.
So who do you think will be the chalkiest captain?
Herbert, and then Keenan, and then probably even Eckler. It's very rare you see a dog team that's not a quarterback really get too much exposure at the captain position, especially in the upper tier. Because if you're playing Waller and the captain, you can't play all of Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, and
right.
And,
I'm
Herbert
building right now, and I'm kind of coming into problems. Even throwing Jackson in there, which I didn't consider until you had mentioned it, still doesn't free me up to get all the guys that I want, and that's, of course, the game and the challenge of building these lineups here.
And that's why sometimes people go like when Byron Pringle was really cheap for the Chiefs, or like some people will play Justin Jackson at the captain spot today too, which I don't think the ceiling's there. I personally not going to do it.
Can you imagine?
You could stuff your other spots, right?
If you try and build it with Justin Jackson at your captain, you can build anything else you want after that. So
wouldn't it just be a better idea to use Roundtree there? Because if Eckler goes down, he's probably the guy that steps right in.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, do you have that $800? It goes a long way on this slate. But if you have it, I do prefer Roundtree. It's just the money on this slate, I think, because I'm not going to be leaving a ton of salary because it's so top heavy. So you got to get a little different somewhere or elsewhere. I think Waller's getting different enough, especially in, I don't know what exactly tournament you're doing, but even in the big one, Waller captain, you're fading Herbert, you're going Keenan, you're going Carr, and that's different enough where I think the other spots you leave a little bit of salary or something. You can get a unique, maybe not unique, but maybe 3 people the same, 4 people the same, maybe even unique. There's definitely going to be a unique Captain Waller team. So that's kind of how I approach it.
Target shares too. When you guys start talking about them, you're going to have 2 or 3 of the top targeted wide receivers in here. Allen's been targeted 33 times, Waller 33 times, and Mike Williams 31 times. There's only one guy ahead of them, and that's Devontae Adams.
Yeah, this game's going to be, it's so concentrated on the Chargers side, and then you know where the ball's going on. Yep. It'll be a fun game for sure, but I do like going the 4-2 Raiders. 4-2 underdog is just how I've approached it, if it's a short underdog.
So let's say I get to the end of my build and I can afford either. Would you prefer Mike Williams from the Chargers, or Eckler? Money doesn't matter. I'm on the last guy.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, so that's when you think like in that build, like what game script are you thinking? Because we already have Derek. I'm
thinking like 38-35 Las Vegas win.
And Mike Williams. I'd probably go Eckler because I already have Keenan. I'm fading Herbert.
Okay.
So like, I mean, it's close. Yeah, Tyler, Mike Williams. I'm hoping that why I'm saying that is because I'm hoping Eckler runs 1 or 2 in, whereas Herbert's not throwing it in, so he might not be optimal. Whereas his 1 and 2 touchdowns hopefully go to both Keenan. If you get the 2 touchdowns from Eckler and Keenan, then Herbert doesn't throw the 2, and then he's probably not on the optimal for his price tag, and you're hoping the Carr to Waller stuff. So with how salary is, I'd probably say the Eckler route, hoping he rushes some and Herbert doesn't throw it. But it's a coin flip.
Okay, cool. And that's a lot of times what it comes down to, right? And if if I'm close to the stats towards the end, and it could be those ones where I'm going to bed like, oh, if I would only put Eckler, only put Williams, I could have cashed huge, but instead I got $30 off my $15 entry.
One of these days, spread. One of these days, they're going to ship it all, and it's.
I think when I ship, it's gonna be in the association, not the National Football League. That's personally, fair. I've gotten way closer in the NBA, and of course. No credit to myself. It's from working with you, Mangone, JSU, AP, right? All the guys that come on the show and help me build the lineups while we're sitting here on the air, which is why, I can't believe that not more people are liked and subscribed to the channel so you can be notified when we go on the air, because not only are you getting the best gambling information, but you're learning how to mix it and to make these DFS lineups as well. So, I mean, a Monday night game, and we're going to have so much action, right? Between our DFS lineups, between our sides, between our totals and our props. I mean, it's just going to be way much more fun than men should be allowed to have on a Monday night. So thank you, Tyler, for walking us through that. And hopefully this core will get myself and some other people that are watching home. And Tyler, do you have anything else for us before we go and we start at the Baker Mayfield fan club tomorrow?
I mean, not really. The only other thing I'd talk about is one other anytime touchdown guy I was looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's priced below Peyton Barber, but Kenyon Drake at plus 260. I think that's worth a look because Josh Jacobs is already banged up. He busts one from outside the 20-yard line and runs it in. Definitely worth the price there.
Yeah, Barber really, him and Gruden have become good buddies. I think they're probably at Buffalo Wild Wings yesterday watching all the games because Barber, to be a practice squad and get that much run last week was pretty surprising. So I went ahead and threw Drake anytime touchdown on the bottom. Guys, remember this show is brought to you by runpurebets.com. If you're not already a member, head on over to runpurebets.com. Use the promo code BETS25 off to become a member. Get access to the Discord, get access to all the free plays, and get access to the live shows brought to you by the Sports Keg, which have been a fantastically winning endeavor. I think Jay was eating garlic shrimp and and steak ordered to his house after hitting another 33-1 last night. So it's just been fantastic. And Title, I appreciate you coming on and helping us venture into the DFS because Tyler and I can do the sides, we can do the totals, but we'll really struggle to build the lineups. And with your input, it definitely helps me because I'll tell you what, I would have been a little scared at that Waller in the captain spot just from what you told me last week with the chalk. But having you explain it and now seeing, hey, they are an underdog. He's not a quarterback. Makes me feel a lot better. So I've hit submit on that lineup, and I'm really excited to kick off tonight. And I have a surprise for tomorrow. Tyler doesn't even know about this, but it won't just be Tyler and I tomorrow. We're going to have another guest. Usually he's on with porn stars, but he's decided to slum it with us. That's right. Holden Kushner's going to be joining us tomorrow as we go same time and we're going to go through all the sides, all the totals, early looks. And, we'll talk about which ones we're betting now, which ones we're waiting for line movement and information. So, so much fun going on over here at runpurebets.com. That's why you got to make sure that you're subscribed so you can get notified if you miss my Twitter. If you miss the notification in the Discord, it will come right to your phone. You'll know to jump in on the chat and just have a great time. Thanks to everyone who is hanging out. We will see you tomorrow. Run Pure.